Hey guys, what's up? This is a really quick video. Seamus looking at my blood work from our partner lab with Elevated Recovery. This is his first time looking at it. There's no prep. I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest, because already I saw his face a few minutes. He's like, bruh. So we're just going to do this live. And I want to give you guys an example of what it's like to work with a professional health coach who's worked with some of the top companies in the world, what it's like to have your blood work looked at. And he's going to give me some recommendations, if any, for what I should do. Okay, so let's do this on
Appreciate it. Just to let you guys know, I'm board certified in health and wellness and functional blood chemistry analysis credentialed. So, I've looked at over thousands of labs, and today what I want to do is share my screen and cover this. So JK, he's 41 years old, and we're looking at about 5 to 6 systems here, from heart health, metabolic, all the way to the nutritional body. And JK is looking, season high. So pretty good. But let's explain and give a little bit of nuance in all of these. So our partners here at Sci, we love them. What we're going to cover is the nuance of here. So what we're going to talk about is lifestyle, exercise, nutrition, stress management, sleep. I'll go through these real quickly, but then we'll talk about some supplementation. I got some key things already keyed up for him. We might even talk about some other things you can do, peptides, for example, right? So we're going to look at our heart health, and what does this consist of? This is going to be our lipid profile, guys. So for example, this right here is his total cholesterol, okay? He's at a 163, so he's right there at that optimal range. You can see this is a green. His LDL, though, is about 20 higher than I'd like it to be. There's a whole story here. Let me get this first. His triglycerides are there. He's almost at the top, tippy top. But his ApoA1, his ApoB, ApoA01 ratios are off. His VLDL...
You're going to explain what those are, right?
Yeah. These are all different proteins that are coming up, and these are just ratios. So what is happening here, guys? This is heart health. This is lipid metabolism. So what are the lipids? These are the fats, right? Triglycerides, cholesterol, different things like this. What is happening here for JK is these are a little bit high. They're within fighting distance. We're out of the blue, almost going into the orange here. What does JK need to do? Well, JK needs to make some adjustments in his diet and his lifestyle. So there's a few things here. JK is not in America right now as of this video, but in America,
I'm in Bangkok. Yeah, I've been eating good.
we dropped a new food guide, a reverse pyramid, some would say. And it's pretty cool because it still talks about red meat and dairy getting its heyday, but we need to manage some things like saturated fat, for example, for JK. Even with the new guidelines, it's 10% or below. So JK needs to bring in some other things like polyunsaturated sources of fat, right? Monounsaturated, mackerel, extra virgin olive oil for its like avocado oil for its like high cooking temps. A few things, if these run rampant for JK, okay, especially this ApoB, we need to drop this by about 30.
That's the bad cholesterol?
Yeah, this is the bad.
Is that the measurement for the bad cholesterol?
Yeah, the ApoB. This is a measurement for like a bad cholesterol here. What we're dealing with for JK is now he's struggling with plaque buildup, right? Calcification.
If this continues.
Right?
Bang. Okay.
And here's the thing too. So some issues with this is, yes, it is the plaque buildup. It's inflammation on the arteries or the endothelium of those tissues, but it's also the heart. Now, here's the thing. JK, you are in your 40s. We don't know how long this has been going on, so we have to get this lowered as fast as possible. We do have some supplements for this that are great. Obviously, we have our Prestige Labs partnership. There's an essential fatty acids complex that has the right dosing of EPA and DHA, which are like fat-soluble things, like salmon oil and like fish oil and things like that will help bring this down. Another thing that needs to happen, I know this is more of a dietary change as well, is managing things like fiber. Fiber is really powerful for this. So trying to bring your fiber to about 30 to 40 grams per day is really powerful.
Can I do this with like something like Metamucil or a fiber drink just for efficiency because I fast?
Yeah, Metamucil is really good. One of my favorites is like, you like chia seeds?
Yeah, I do. I love it.
So chia seeds are great because it acts as an omega and it acts as fiber. So you can put that in your water, and that's really good. So that's like a quick way of doing it. But yeah, we really need to get in things for you. Now, you are of the age where we can start bringing these things down. But again, remember, with the blood work, why do we love blood work, guys? Because it is also a screening tool. When we see these numbers and if they don't come down, we're going to keep looking at JK's health over time and see if he needs to do some other screenings, whether it be a carotid scan, a calcium score, an angiogram, echocardiogram. I don't think that's the case. I think his lipids were again within punching range.
Okay, so nothing like deadly, but
yeah,
a little higher than ideal.
Yeah, little higher than ideal.
Cool.
One thing in terms of the performance, what I do love about this, and this is something we relate on, is like high intensity interval training. You do some of that, right?
Some, but I honestly, I can see why it's high because I've switched to more consistent workouts as opposed to hits.
Yeah, HIIT is great. I know you do that and you can jump into any time. Obviously, this is something we do in the Optimum U group where we tell people, hey, get your heart rate up to certain categories. I could do that work for you, but then bring it up and down that HIIT style. But this is that individualization. So we really want to bring these things down here. So again, diet, exercise, and a bit related to the supplementation. Like I said, I'll show these later, but we have some things like our EFA complex that's really great for
Yes.
this.
Jump back to that complex real quick.
Yeah.
I know I already have the subscription. I wanted to see. Is that a newer one from Prestige?
No, this is the essential fatty acids. Again, it has your fat soluble vitamins plus your.
Or has all four of them. Gotcha.
Yep. And then it has its EPA and DHA ratios, which is perfect to help out with this. Whenever we get members on this, you'll see those numbers when I look back at their labs come down by a certain amount. So it's really, really good.
Okay, there's a lot of oils in that. Okay.
Yeah. We try to get everything as.
I buy my borage. I used to buy my borage oil separately. I didn't know that the Prestige one already had the borage seed oil in there. So that's cool.
That's why I love they think about like the blends, they try to think about like instead of going to Vitamin Shop or like Amazon and buying everything different, just try to try to get that.
Just have it in one bottle instead of full
Yeah.
bottles. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Let's move on to some next things. So a few things here are interesting, and this is why you need someone with experience to cover your lab work. For example, JK is Black, African American heritage. Some people would look at some kidney markers like EGFR and be totally off. Maybe a little bit of this hemoglobin A1C and be like, oh, what's going on? Sometimes in certain populations, they can ride a little bit high, but it doesn't mean to not take certain precautions. It still means they need to be aware. So for example, CSAT C is a function of the kidney. It's a great function. Sometimes creatinine is another kidney function that might be high for African Americans, but that's okay because at least we have the CSAT C and it looks fine. It's a little bit low. Sometimes this is out of range due to dehydration or sometimes lack of electrolytes. I don't think that's the case with you. This could just be a transient reading.
Yeah. So just for the audiences as well, because I know we're recording this, I heard that C-statin C, and I just Googled it years ago.
Yeah.
It's an alternative measure of kidney function to creatinine levels. Or do you want to look at both of them, or do you want to use your C-statin C as the definitive marker of where you are with your kidney? Which would you choose if you had to do both?
Oh man, I like to do both because I like to do BUN actually, creatinine, EGFR, and CSAT C. Especially if creatinine's riding high, I would like to do a CSAT C to confirm that we're okay. EGFR will confirm it anyways if it's within range.
Okay.
But sometimes males, primarily, I see this a lot in males. It's like who take a lot of creatine, for example. I know you probably take that. Who are more muscled. These numbers like creatinine will be a lot higher, and it'll freak some people out. When you look at and see the EGFR, you're like, they're okay. Just keep an eye on it over time. That's it.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
moving on, let's go to TSH. So this is his thyroid stimulating hormone. Guys, this is coming from his pituitary gland. This has a relationship with the thyroid. This isn't optimal. So it looks to me, first and foremost, that JK's taking care of his brain. Sometimes his TSH can come up because some people lack sleep, are way too stressed out, or something's going on with the pituitary gland. Prolactin's also part of that gland. But what's happening here is his TSH is fine, which indicates primarily, I don't think this is the best. We need a little bit more, but the T3 to T4, TPO, all the thyroid stuff should overall be okay with this marker. I could go a little bit deeper, we're missing some, but overall still looking good for that thyroid stimulating hormone. So that's our regulator looking great. So some areas here that we can work on and we'll continue on. I'm going to get back to these guys in a second. Let me talk about the albumin and the EGFR first. So going back to that CSAT C and over here. So this marker right here, I'm actually not afraid of, even though it says fair and it's going to this red.
What is that marker measuring?
This EGFR is EAG and this is A1C. So these two right here are going to be our 3-month averages of glucose. Okay, yours a little bit high. Yours right a little bit high.
I will admit one thing straight up.
Yeah,
it was right after Christmas. a lot of sweet stuff, a lot of cakes, and I have a problem with gummy bears and gummy worms.
Yeah.
So it's possible the day before I was heavy on them, a bit lax on the sugar during the holidays. But that does seem quite high though.
It is a little bit high. It is within punching range, though. I know it's in the red, but when you're trying to be when people tell you pre-diabetes, diabetic, things like that, you're looking at like 6, 7, things like that for A1C and EAG. I would love to bring you down and get you there as quickly as possible. This is your 3-month average, so those are your choices of blood sugar over the last 3 months. And the reason why we want to bring this down is basically these are the glycation or sugar covering the percentage of that red blood cell. Let's try to bring this down over the next few months. I do have a supplement.
Where should I ideally be at?
Let's try to get you to 5. So 5.5 is a good start. 5.7 is a good start. And then 5.5 is a good start. And then for this one, 108 or below, I would say even like 105 is really good.
Okay.
So with this one, there are some supplements we could do. But first off, let's talk about lifestyle, right? You're doing your lifting. You're walking after meals. That would be a good thing.
Yep.
And then also too, like making sure to have, again, fiber and the proteins and different things like your macros. But one product that I like for this is actually the fat burner. They call it heat. I'm not a big fan of the word fat burner. What I like more is maybe a glucose disposal agent.
Yeah. Glucose disposal agent. All right.
This it actually really is. When you look at the products in this is a synergistic product. Like, for example, the L-carnitine is a fat mobilizer. You're looking at different extracts in there, but then you're looking at things like the garlic, and then there's something for scoli, which is actually great for skin. But this right here, if you look at all of these things, what it does is it helps relax your systems with sugar. So it helps, bring insulin down, helps bring sugar down. So it is a glucose disposal agent. It also has some good gut healing effects, especially like that.
Yeah, blends are crazy. I buy these things separately on Amazon.
I know.
No, I'm serious, dude. They have everything in one bottle. That's insane.
I know that's why I love the person that was the person behind Prestige Labs was like not a direct mentor, but I learned a lot of stuff from him. Trevor Kalshi, basically, he has so much knowledge in biochemistry, but like a lot of these things are really great for managing sugar and all those things. So that's why I would say for you, over the next 3 months, on top of the lifestyle stuff, take this, helps stabilize. The cool thing about this is obviously with the work that we do around like men's health, when your sugars are going up and down, that has an effect on dopamine and stress and different things. So trying to manage that too, it kind of has that bit of effect as well, right? Talking about those things, let's talk about morning cortisol for you. So your morning cortisol, guys, cortisol is obviously one of the stress hormones. And a lot of people give cortisol such a bad rap. They're like, oh, my cortisol this, my cortisol that. My joke with them, my little tidbit is like, well, you're the one that stayed up late, or you're the one that drank the sorry for the language, but you're the one that did the thing. It's your cortisol only responds to the lifestyle you're giving it. So if your cortisol is a little bit dysregulated, we got to look back at lifestyle, right? Yours is a little bit, it's not the worst. What's happening here for you, JK, is your cortisol is one of two things. It's either not peaking as high as we need it to in the morning, or B, it's a little bit flipped where maybe you're more energized later on in the day when you need to be less energized, or, not as energized when you need to be. So it's like the flip flop. You may even have sometimes dysregulated sleep or temperature regulation issues at night where you're waking up super hot or something like that. But for you, it's not that bad. I think for most folks, when they see an 8 on their morning cortisol, we like to get to a 10. Usually that's done by lifestyle. Go see some sunlight in the morning, go do some breath work, do something hard in the morning that helps reset it. And then that also helps reset your melatonin receptors at night too, about like 16 hours later, so you can get some good sleep. So
I think the morning cortisol is usually high. Maybe I took this after like an hour meditation session.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably why it dropped. Because usually it's higher.
Great, and that would be great. There is one more marker in this whole thing. I'm going to talk about it. Is this albumin? Albumin, It is a marker usually around the liver. We look at this to see how well your liver's functioning, guys. So the importance of the liver. There's other markers too, like ALT, AST, but we're looking at albumin. When we look at albumin in conjunction with the kidneys and stuff like that, it's also hydration status. Yours is just a little bit high. I wouldn't be worried about this. It's right there in the punching range. Usually it's maybe a little bit dehydrated, If it's a little bit low, usually that's an indicator you're missing a lot of minerals, such as like your zinc, magnesium, even B vitamins. I don't think that's the case with you. Usually the liver, the three things that we deal with the folks in our program is like, hey, are you doing too much alcohol, right? Are you abusing, like you're drinking too much? It's not helping with your macros, for example. Are you on medications? This will shoot up if you're having medication issues. Or are you having something environmental? I've had many conversations when I look at people's liver markers where they're not out drinking alcohol, they're not doing anything with medications, but they didn't even know that they have mycotoxins in a house or in their car, and they're exposing themselves to it. Or people that are like working in construction and see heavy metal every single day, and they have to go do like an actual protocol to like fix their bodies. So that's why we love to do a little bit of that blood work, just because you never know where problems might come from. You know what I'm saying? But you're not having. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and just move forward. Let's talk about your inflammation. You're looking great in the inflammation. That's really good. Ooh, this is my fun stuff. Ooh.
What are these two?
Yeah, this is high sensitivity CRP. This is a acute inflammatory marker. You're looking great here. Usually this is high, JK, if you are dealing with like a sickness, got hurt, or did like a super hard workout, or like, and also did not get good sleep or something like that. This looks great. So I don't think you had an acute inflammation. This usually shoots high if someone's like super sick. That's probably it. Your homocysteine, though, this is a chronic inflammatory marker. This on top of the lipids is important. So for you, this actually tells me something about you, JK, that you may not know of yourself, but you may not be methylating appropriately. So homocysteine, when it comes up to 8 to 10, this is a chronic inflammatory marker in the form of an amino acid that can dysregulate your dopamine, your serotonin, your acetylcholine. And with that being said, that can lead to cognitive issues, energy conversion, or even issues around like focus, for example. I'm intimately knowledgeable about this because I have multiple breaks in my methylation gene pathways. And my numbers are double to triple of yours. And so what you have to do here, I'm not necessarily sure, you may have a methylation gene SNP. You might have heard of MTHFR before. It sounds like it's like mother effer, so it's super popular with that. But you may just be missing a few key things in your day-to-day, such as methylated B vitamins, methylfolate, methylcobalamin. So basically, if you're going to do any B vitamins, JK, you might be ripping through yours just because you do a lot of work. You're very cognitively demanding. Homocysteine, those neurotransmitters, dopamine, all that stuff is constantly working for you, probably just for hard work. We might just need to support you with a little bit more methyl donated stuff. So
like a B12 shot or B12. I mean, does Prestige have B?
We do have
related vitamins. Because that would be the easiest way to go.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to go. So we do have Prestige has a multivitamin as well. I can pull it up in a moment, but it's methylated. Yeah. But the problem is you may just need a little bit more. So instead of taking another multi, we don't necessarily have a standalone methylated product, but you may just need to take some, a methylated B12, methyl B6, methylfolate, basically methylcobalamin, methylfolate, just to help out. You may just do that short term just to bring this chronic inflammatory marker down for you, and then after that you may not need it anymore.
Wait, what are when you recommend I retake this test? Because I am concerned about a few of them. I just want to know what's a good amount of time with the protocol you're going to put me through to do this test again.
I love to do every 3 months. That's my goal, just so that the cells are being penetrated with the new protocol, the lifestyle adjustments, and then obviously if not 3 months, obviously within 6, because we don't want to waste with the protocol and not see. And sometimes what happens for homocysteine too is you may have high homocysteine and we give you a certain specific methylated vitamin, but you have a genetic SNP in, let's say, your COMT, and that one is problematic sometimes, where some people will take certain methylated B vitamins and then they start getting nauseous and stuff like that. And they're like, well, someone told me to take methylated B vitamins in my homocysteine. Yes, but we needed to find out which one's specific for you. So we might have to I see. Again, if you don't know, if you haven't done like a genetics test, I mean, I could review your genetics and epigenetics, but honestly, I'm not too worried about this. Like basic methylated B vitamins will handle this well for you. What you'll notice is better focus, better clarity, better energy conversion, because methylation touches every single part of our cell. That's like, it's part of every process. But yeah, that's good. That's good insight. Hormonal health. Let's go through here, and I think this is gonna be
before we jump into the hormonal health, I just wanted to real quick. Since we're recording this live, I just wanted to mention to you guys, if you're watching this and you're a little bit intimidated, don't be. As you can see, Seamus is a pro at this. He's a nerd about it. Uh, but with the things going on in the world today and how unhealthy we are, and people, young people just dropping dead, you do want somebody to go in detail into your blood work. And unlike a doctor, he's not going to recommend, if he feels you need to see a medical professional, he'll do the ethical thing and send you to them right away. But you don't have to break the bank or spend a lot of money. But you do want the peace of mind knowing that, hey, this is what we need to do, and we're going to check in again, and you're going to be okay, from a person who has in-depth knowledge and will use, because he's a health coach, so he can legally use and ethically use himself as an example. He told me what's going on with his mentalation, and that's the sort of a peace of mind you want. So I don't want anybody to be freaked out by, like, oh my God, this seems complex. It's your health. It's your life. These are the only organs you have. So you don't want to mess with them. All right.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it. I think, when you're in the weeds with this stuff, guys, you get a little esoteric, and sometimes you get a little bit away from the world and you start talking in such drab that you're like, yeah, I got to bring it back to the normal person. Yes, please check your labs, just because it's just a genetic, hygiene. You're just health hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth. You're just checking this stuff. We're moving on. Let's go through your home health. And here's a cool thing. Here's some full stats. You're looking good. You're like a B+, and you're over 12% above your demographic average. Isn't that great, guys? He's 12% higher than the average for most men. We don't want to just be normal here. We want to be optimal here.
Cool.
For most guys, I think this is going to be the part where you want to take out your notebooks, pause, play, rewind, ask us some questions, because this here is going to be complex. Everyone's biochemistry, especially with these hormones, are going to be a little bit more nuanced, especially in terms of symptomology and even like mindset, mood, and irritability, even down to those things. So everything here is going to be a little bit of the art, okay, guys? It's not just, hey, you need to have these optimal numbers. It's also down to the chemistry of the person and how they feel, okay? So first and foremost, let's go through what's going on here. So estradiol, guys, is a hormone. It's an estrogen. It's one form of estrogen. There's multiple forms. This version is like one of the safer forms that we look into, and it helps us understand what JK's estrogen levels are. They're actually in a good spot. 35 is actually pretty good. Why do we care about estrogen, guys? Estrogen is quite important because it's part of the precursor for bone health. So if this was flat for JK, I'd be wondering what's going on with his bones, for example. But he looks good here, nothing too wild. This could probably come down into the quote unquote optimal few seconds. It's pretty much there. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone, and LH. So I'm going to put these two together, LH and FH, follicle stimulating hormone. These hormones are indicated for your testicular health and your sperm production. This is what these glands are telling the testiculars to do. Some things here could be slightly off sometimes due to sleep dysregulation or different things. I'd say for JK, this might just be a little bit off behind the scenes. So he and I might just talk about that behind the scenes, because there could just be a little few things here that are off. But, honestly,
Seamus is being nice. He might be like, you might never be able to have babies again. So I'll keep this on private, but we'll talk about it, and I will share a separate video on the results. So I appreciate his discretion. He's being discreet about something that he's concerned about, but I will share what the deal is when we talk about it. I want to keep the recording running. Go ahead. Yeah.
FSH and LH have to just do with like sperm quality and production. Just a little off here. We'll check that out, but that has to do with like testosterone, different things going on with testosterone, DHEA. But one area I'd like to stop at before we get to the testosterone, I know you guys are into it, is prolactin. Okay, so guys, prolactin, this is the funny one. I think you're the first one that said prolactinemia to me, JK, like 4 years ago.
Yep. You remember that. You're like, that's interesting. Yeah.
And I started seeing it. And in the last 4 to 5 years, prolactin is a hormone. For women, it's around like if they're going to give birth to kids or child rearing or breastfeeding or something like that. For men, it's a hormone especially tied to even stress and cortisol, or just even stress itself. And also with post intimacy, it's high. So what I've been able to see with prolactin is basically if this is very high, a few things are happening with somebody. Either they are dealing with a lot of stress and that's high, that's going to put them into a period of like brain fog, fatigue, and things like that. If it's not high because they're stressed, it could be because they just had an orgasm or were just post-intimate. And I've seen that before too. And I've seen that number very, very high for some males. And then there is one case that I've seen where this number, so JK is great. He's in the 4. You guys want to know what the highest I've seen? JK, you want to guess how much the highest I've seen before?
Oof. I would say the 30s.
Yes, it was 44. Uh,
Oh
that's
my
physically,
God, bro.
that's physically the highest I've seen. I've heard of stories of someone in the hundreds, and here's why someone would have those. A male that didn't have any stress, that isn't having any like not abusing sex or like sexual things. It was dealing with prolactinemia due to a pituitary gland growth or something in there. So we flagged that and we were able to tell that person, hey, you got to go see a neurologist or somebody. They did a scan and then they gave them some medications. 2 weeks later, all their symptoms they were feeling ADHD brain, short-witted, mood erratic, and then they took the medications and then it kind of turned that gland off and they were feeling normal again. So that's why we need to keep an eye on these things for some folks because sometimes those glands can go a little crazy in the brain.
A quick reminder that one of the things to look into, and some of the journals have showed, is that men who masturbate on a regular basis just tend to have, this is what the studies show, tend to have a little bit more prolactin circulating through their body. And as you've heard what Seamus said, when it's elevated, there are side effects. So sometimes people say like, oh, that's the effect of pornography addiction. You want to understand your blood work to know why you feel a certain way. What does your blood work look like when you are in withdrawal? And because Seamus works in the Optimum U program, it's not for addicts, it's for anybody. But because he's familiar and works alongside us at Elevated Recovery, he can look at your blood work and he will probably ask you, hey, have you been watching? He can tell if you've been basically abusing pornography or been abusing yourself sexually because the numbers don't lie. But you still want to know that, and he's going to do it in a discreet way. There's no shame. He's just going to ask you medical questions. So another good reason why you want to get your blood work checked.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's get to the good stuff. I think a lot of guys would love to know about this, right? Testosterone, SHBG, free testosterone, and then some of the other precursors and part of it. Testosterone, guys, this is that hormone that is good for drive, for focus, for libido, and things like this. You know, JK is actually in a really good spot, but here's the deal. JK is at 594. He's 41. He's got a good free testosterone. This is great. His SHBG is quite low, so he's not aromatizing or turning his testosterone into, let's say, like estrogen or anything like that. The interesting thing is that 594. So most folks would say JK is doing good. He is. He actually really is. JK also is really jacked, so he's probably has some good androgen receptors. So he what's it called to testosterone very well, meaning he responds to it very well. This is nuanced because we can say he's good, and we don't really need to do much. But for most folks, sometimes I'll see these numbers and they could still be problematic, right, JK? Because I'd like to see people more towards maybe like 750 to maybe 1,000 is really good because nowadays what I'm noticing is, especially with the guys we work with, they're so high performing that they're burning the midnight oil on both ends that you can really rip through testosterone fast by working out, by working, dealing with a family, these different things. So I like to keep these numbers tip top shaped up just a little bit more because I like to hedge against life. You know what I'm saying? Like being a high performer, you want to be able to. So what you'll notice is I'd love to put JK a little bit higher, maybe like in the 700s, because he can, feel a little bit more libido, more arousal, which is great. He can feel more mood and stability. Remember, testosterone is not a competitive hormone per se. It's actually more of a cooperative hormone. When you are stable in it, you are stoic, you are stable, you are watching the flock. So it's a really great hormone in that way. But then also too, performance and recovery. He's hitting the gym hard. He's recovered the next day to do it again. So that's why I like to hedge it a little bit more. So we can push that. There is one product here, and this is the last.
Can I just do a booster because just something I can take over 3 months.
Yeah, over 3 months. One of our favorites is this one is a lot of our guys in the Optimum U program and
this is a dangerous one. This is dangerous as in it's pretty good.
Dude, it's so great. For example, it's got maca root, which is technically like one of the superfoods from Amazon. It's got horny goat weed, which is funny, but it's a pydium. And then it's got fenugreek, and then it's got signalar root and endive. So what this is it's a herbs and adaptogens to help you naturally bring up your testosterone. This is not HRT. This is not anything like that. It's doing that. And it has a little bit of DIM to modulate estrogen down. So it can unbind some of those estrogens to bring back into free testosterone. So not only are you, yes, increasing your testosterone, that's great, but you're increasing your free testosterone, your access to it for you to feel your androgens. Sometimes some people have high testosterone, but they have low free T. So they're just getting the bad side effects of high testosterone, such as like dry skin, mood issues, anger. We want to access that free testosterone where you're feeling stable, good, all that stuff. So this is our free product. I like to do, 4 in the day. You could do 2 in the morning, 2 at night. So it's really, really
You know, the crazy thing about this, guys, was that, and for you too, Seamus, is I used to take this, but then I got to a point where I was just looking at my body and I was like, man, I'm probably at a 900. And I did do my blood work. I do this test often, and I was about 800 or so. So
Yeah.
it's surprising because I've been in amazing shape lately. Maybe felt a little tired, but it's so surprising to see that. So just that just goes to show you can look at somebody and they look all cut up, but because of pushing myself very hard, it's lower than I would have expected it to be.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So there's other things there. And, is testosterone everything? Remember, it's part of a complex. We can't just ride this high and expect someone to have great libido, have muscles, and all this. No, 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 no. It helps you just do what you need to do. So that's that. DHEA, your DHEA is a little bit high. It's a precursor hormone. It's technically the longevity hormone. Usually this comes down as you age. I'm guessing that you take some DHEA, right, JK?
I actually have the supplement, but I probably should stop, like
You
roll back on it. I've been taking it every night. I heard it balanced something, but I don't really understand it. So
You may not necessarily need to keep taking it. You could bring it down a little bit because your cortisol is being buffered, so it's fine. This also suppresses a little bit of that adrenal corticoids in there. So you can relax on it. That'll also help maybe a little bit of that cortisol. Not the worst. Usually, sometimes if that's the case, if it's being really high, I think it's just like mostly like around mood or temperature or something like that. But I don't think that's going to be a problem for you.
okay, I'll lay off the supplement. Yeah.
Your free androgen index looks great. These are just ratios for us to kind of see, like, for example, this DHEAS cortisol ratio is telling us, hey, yeah, he can probably come off. But your free testosterone ratio, your cortisol ratio, all this is looking great because sometimes, for example, absolute cortisol can look good, but your testosterone could be low. And what happens, for example, here with this one is there's a concept called pregnenolone steal, basically where if your cortisol, it could look fine on the test, but when we do this ratio, what may be actually happening is pregnenolone is being turned into cortisol because you're just ramping up too much cortisol and it's taking from testosterone. So then we got to figure out something about your cortisol, whether it be, stress management techniques or different things. We actually have a supplement for that too. There's actually a supplement to manage the cortisol complex, but I won't show that just because we've seen some more. But yeah, there's just all these little things that we think about for you guys, as opposed to just like giving you absolute numbers, because absolute numbers are, again, they're kind of like, okay, what are we doing with that without the actual change of it all and all these things? So we help out. But let's finish up right here. We're going to take a look at the prostate and the nutritional stuff. Guys, yeah, great freaking prostate. JK's looking really good. This is a number for everybody. You should be looking at this every 6 months for everybody, in my opinion. Here's why. For men, okay, for men. So JK's 41, right? Or I'm 31, JK's 41. So let's say over the next 10 years, I never look at my blood work. In my prostate, I look at it at 41 and it's at like a 4 or 6, this prostate specific antigen. Why is it at a 4 or 6? Well, I don't know. We just know it to be enlarged and inflamed, okay? However, there's this concept called BHP, benign hyperplasia of the prostate, where if that growth and velocity, if we trend it and see it before that 10 years, let's say, I could catch something before. Even young guys are having a lot of prostate stuff now. And that's why every 6 to 12 months is great, because when I graph these things, guys, this is one marker, but when I graph these things for JK over like months and months and months, I can see, oh, wow, it's coming up. It's coming up. Oh, we got to take you to your urologist or your PCP right now because something's happening. Inflammation and enlargement. I'm not saying that's the case with JK. His looks amazing.
Yeah.
That's why we need to look at these every 6 to 12 months. Just for this alone, you guys should be doing this stuff. You don't want to deal with the enlarged prostate and have to go into surgery for no reason. So Nutritional wise, vitamin D3, it's all good. K2 ferritin looks amazing. Oh, that's so good. Guys, this is iron storage and this vitamin D. Obviously, he's taken probably some vitamin D3, K2. Even if you live in some areas, obviously JK's black. It's a
Yeah.
little bit, it's harder to get some vitamin D, so he's probably taking some
Yeah.
supplementation. I live in
I
LA.
still take, yeah, I do take vitamin D
Yeah,
every day.
I live in LA and I've done like thousands of these blood work and people still are problematic here. So I just still tell people, hey, just take it because it's great for immune system. It's great for energy. It's just good for just basics. Ferritin is an iron storage indicator. This is really good. For ferritin, if it's too low, can lead to, and especially if you're low in B vitamins, can lead to like basic anemia profile. Some issues with that is like energy and also sometimes hair falling out. If it's too high, problem with high ferritin is that it's technically oxidative stress, all like cellular rusting. So technically, JK would be struggling to, take certain things out of his body minerals. He would maybe have to donate blood or do some medical therapeutic phlebotomy, which is, going to donate blood. But
So you're saying that sometimes low iron can lead to hair loss?
yeah,
Oh,
sometimes 45 can lead to hair loss, primarily more so in women. DHT does that as well, but ferritin can be part of it because of the oxygenation going to the brain or going to the head.
interesting.
What else here? One last thing. If this is also high too, sometimes this could lead to like thickening in the blood, joint pain. So do keep an eye on this for guys because it can come up if you're doing too much iron-rich foods. But this looks amazing for you, JK. So let's just keep this where it is. Body, last few things. This is just some BMI, some BMR stuff. This is some basic calculations. But yeah, guys, that's it overall. JK, any questions before I stop sharing my screen here? If we want to go
No,
up.
there are no questions. I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing this with us. Guys, that was just like a little peek into what Seamus does. This is our partnership with the lab. When you do your blood work through us to become a member of the Optimal Me program, it's a very affordable month-to-month program where you get direct coaching with Seamus on your fitness. So you will work with him with whatever your goals are, to lose weight. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, to get shredded, to put on muscle. He does it from a very scientific basis. He will get your labs. And then if you want to take any supplements, if you are interested in peptides, if you are a high performer and you want to operate on a much higher level, I don't suggest just purchasing them. I suggest getting your blood work first so you know what your baseline is. Getting on these things, this is the responsible way to do it. A few months later, like 3 months later, get it tested again and see how your body responds to it. That way you can optimize your life and you can actually have a routine with things that work for you. And I think this is one of the best ways to do this. I've done it for years. I feel great for my age. But as you can see, even as somebody who is quite fit, there are areas in my life that I need to work on. And there's some of these things for sure, if I let them go for a long time, they could become problematic. So even for somebody like me who's quite fit, I get my blood work done every 90 days. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit paranoid. I'll just do it for funsies, like every 6 weeks. I like getting my blood work done. Seamus can probably relate. It's just like, I just want to see what happened in like 6 weeks after donation. Yeah, I just want to see what happens. So Seamus, thank you so much, guys. If you're interested, I'll drop a couple of links. You can just buy the kit directly and it'll lead you to a call with Seamus once the blood work comes in. So I'll leave links for all of those for you somewhere here, wherever you watch it. And I will see you on the other side.